Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to hook you up with my entire lead vocal processing chain. This is the exact lead vocal processing chain that I use on every single lead vocal. Yes, it works, and I'm going to show you how right now. Now, if you are familiar with any of my mixing videos, my template system, then this will be familiar to you. First thing that I like to do is have my lead vocal go through 3 different parallel processing tracks. The first one that I use is one that has the fatso. This is adding some of that tape, saturation, compression, all that warmth that I'm going to be blending into the overall sound of my lead vocal. The next thing is getting some more saturation, some of that mic pre-saturation, and I love the 1073 for that. I've got a pretty heavy mic saturation kind of cranked up, and then we're going to pull that down with the fader that is on the plug-in. So we won't be pushing in a too harsh of a sound. We're just wanting to fill in some of those spaces with some saturation. Really helps to thicken things up. Then I'm going to do some heavy compression on the 1176. So I'm looking for around 10 dBs of compression on that. Once we have our desired sound to taste, this may, vary from song to song, but the process is the same. You'll blend those how it works best with your song. Once you do that, all of these tracks are then going to the vocal group track right here. Now, here's where I'm going to discuss what I have in my vocal processing chain. The first thing that I like to do is use a dynamic EQ. Now, why do I like to do that? Well, also, if you're familiar with this process, I've got some videos that I'll have linked that can go a little more in depth. But what I'm basically looking for, at least at this first step, is to add a high pass filter naturally, and then add a dynamic EQ right here. Now, what this is doing is it's taming anytime some of the end phrases get a little bit murky, a little bit woolly, just a little, if you're at the end of phrases, you'll see if you've got an EQ like this that'll show you your frequencies, how it can get a little bit built up. And what I'm doing is I'm just ducking that just so that it doesn't interfere with some of the things that I want to come through. So I'll show you what that's doing.
I'm Schwarzenegger in these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs. Bad guys wearing islands, waiting for response.
We want the high pass filter to work with that dynamic dip, just kind of all together like that. And you notice it's not really feeling like it's cutting out anything. It just makes everything else sound a little bit clearer and cuts through the mix a lot better. Also, really helps to connect with the mix as well. We're not really done with the EQ. We'll come back to that because the last thing that I want to do is start to kind of carve things out, help connect it with the mix a little bit better. Next up is probably my favorite vocal plugin. This is Waves RVox. Now, I still like to use the classic look because that's just what I'm used to. But if you would like to pick this up at a discount right now, I've got a link, a special link for you to get that discount price right there in the description. Trust me, you're going to love this on your lead vocal. You're going to love how it makes your lead vocal just stand out without having to push up the fader constantly. This makes it sit so well in the mix. And I've got a special discount price right now in the description for you if you would like to go ahead and pick this up. Start the new year off with incredible vocals. Now, sometimes I'll set this between 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just going to depend on the song that you're using, but let me take this in and out for you to see exactly what it's doing.
I'm Schwarzenegger in these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs. Bad guys wearing islands, waiting for response.
Such a special plugin that, like I said, it's pushing your lead vocal through the mix without having to use the after the fact fader here on the track. I love this plugin, and I'm sure you can find 100 other ways to use this. I've even seen people use it on drums. Try it out. Experiment is key. Now, the next thing that I'm using is probably my most recent plugin purchase, and that's the Soothe 2 plugin. Now, I know this one's a little expensive. I wish I had a discount for it. I'm sorry, I don't. But you are not just going to be using this on your lead vocal. although that is like, to me, the ultimate thing for this. This is really good on strings, horns. You know how they get really harsh and it seems like nothing you do, if you compress, like it's just not compressing like certain areas that you want. This thing has got you covered. So I love putting it on my lead vocals as well. So let's take a listen and see what that's doing.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a...
Wow, do you hear that? It just immediately got so much harsher. So let's listen. Let's take a good listen without, and then I'll bring it in.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge... I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with it.
Wow, the plugin's really kind of magic. Right after that, I'm still using a de-esser because I feel like, as much as I do like how the soothe smooths out all of those harsh frequencies that are coming in very quickly, there is something that I still like about the de-esser, and where I can just get that target area, mostly for the S sounds. It's not something that's really like sticking out like needles. It's more of those beginning of the phrases, your S's, T's, all of those things that a de-esser is known to do. And so let's just take a listen to see what that's doing.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with it. I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge...
Oh, especially that first word, it makes it sound a little bit more articulate, comes through nicely so that we can understand. Now this next one is just my favorite vocal compressor to finish everything off. I just love the tube warmths of this plugin. This is the UAD version, but there's a ton of other ones out there, so pick one up. I'm sure they all kind of work similarly. Now for vocals, I like to have this on a setting of 2. On the time constant there, and all I'm really looking for is about 3 dBs worth of compression. I'm just wanting to smooth things out. You know, we've done a lot of processing on the lead vocal, and this is just to overall connect all of that processing together, make it sound really nice in your mix. So like I said, let's look for around 3 dBs worth of compression here. All right, so here's without.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs, bad guys wearing knives.
Now, to me, this is the plugin that is really polishing everything up on the lead vocal, giving it that radio quality texture to it, just that nice polished sound that really sits so nicely in the mix. Now, the next thing in this chain, in this processing chain of my lead vocals, I am sending this to a vocal parallel compression track. Now, this is one of those pre-calibrated tracks, and if you'd like to know more about that, that is all included in my mixing templates. I've got one for Pro Tools, Studio One, Logic, Luna. So what's happening here is this is all pre-calibrated, right? I had a signal generator set up and I sent it to this parallel, and if I'm getting about 7 dBs worth of compression, then I know that my return to my mix bus is going to be at around 2 dBs of extra gain back into the overall mix. So let's see what we're doing if we're hitting around 7 here. So I'm sending right here to this parallel.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash.
Just another great sounding element to add to your lead vocal chain, filling things out. That's what we want. We don't want things to sound so thin. When things sound thin, it gives us that amateurish sound. So we're trying to fill out the space. I mean, we've got an entire frequency spectrum from about 20 to 20K. So that's what we need to work with. That's what we need to fill up. And this is a great way to do that with your lead vocals. Next up, now, this is something that will depend on the song and I guess on your artistic taste as a mix engineer, as an artist, you know, whatever your role is in this process. But these are the ones that I'm probably going to use, I would say 99% of the time. And I love to add a little bit of a slap. So we've got our send here, and I'm sending that down here to my vocal effects tracks. And I've got an Echo Boy on that. Now this is not too much. I really like that 110, 115 slap sound, a little bit of feedback. I love Sun Studio, and this is kind of what that was aimed at. I don't want to add too much of it. I'm not trying to sound like Elvis's Blue Moon of Kentucky. So what I like to do is just blend a little bit of that in. This isn't very much. Now for this song, it's probably a little bit more than I would usually go. And if you're doing something really cool, something rockabilly, something vintage sounding, this is a perfect setting for you. So let's take a listen and see what that sounds like.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs. Bad guys wearing islands, waiting for a response.
So for this song, it sounds really good because he's actually blending, I believe there's 3 vocal tracks that are blended together to make the overall characteristic of this whole lead vocal track. And I feel like it just really brings all of those really nicely together by using a little bit of slap. Next up, just an old-fashioned plate. Now, sometimes I will go between the Abbey Road and then the EMT 140, but for this song, the EMT just sounded a little bit better. I do like to set all of my effects plugins to completely wet or 100%, however they have that programmed, and then I'm doing all of my customizations on the send and the return.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs. Bad guys wearing islands, waiting for a response.
Now I do have this room reverb on there. I'm using the Valhalla room. I love this, as this is my favorite room plugin, but since it's not something that I will use every time, I'm gonna skip that one. But I just wanted to give you a quick sneak peek of that. But for something that I am going to be using all the time is definitely this instrument chamber. I have this set, as you can see, on everything. I even have it set on the bass, even though I probably never, they're such a tiny amount. Maybe I just didn't feel like I wanted to have that one left out. But instrument chamber, everything is going. I want to send everything. You know, all of these are individual. So these are going to be different. And the vocal is different as well. Like, I'll just set what I think is going to sound best. I may have a little bit more on the strings. Or, you know, maybe the drums if I want to just use that as my drum reverb. But instrument chamber, everything goes to it. Everything. And so that is right here. I love to use the UAD capital chambers for that. These are the settings that I have. And let's just take a listen to see what that sounds like with and without.
I'm Schwarzenegger and these suckers and started my movie with a huge blast. Trigger happy, need more villains to smash. Briefcase full of cash, pockets full of bombs. Bad guys wearing islands, waiting for a response.
It's just another way to connect your vocals with your instruments and connect all of your instruments together. We have to connect everything to make this sound like a stereo track. Well, there you have it. This is what I'm going to be using the majority of the time, pretty much every bit of the time. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any new videos that I have coming out. It's totally free to do that. Also, don't forget that discount link for the Waves RVox right there in the description. And while you're there, take a look at the 21 best mixing tips that I have. I've got that out in a printable PDF form. You can also head over to TikTok and see some of those in action. My gift to you. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you all real soon.